I had the great pleasure of meeting Jason through one of his members, Norma Hollis, who's also a client of ours, who introduced us to provide this media training, this free media coaching for all of you today, because we are all speakers at the upcoming PSA conference. So we want to make sure that all of you can show up professionally, that your message is heard, that you feel confident, that you feel comfortable, and get all of the tech done, get all of the background stuff, the visual element of it. So we're here to make everyone look and sound like a pro. Anything you want to add to that, Jason?
No, that's great. Well, actually, okay, I was wrong. I do want to add that I had the great benefit of getting a quick makeover from Maria. And in just about 15 minutes, not only did she reaffirm some of the things I knew that I wanted to adjust, but she also gave me some other pointers that were really simple things that all I had to do was move a couple things around or take something out of the closet that I just need to set up to get things balanced. And it really is important as speakers for us to do the best that we can to show up in that professional way. And Maria is going to give you some tips on how to do that, even just simply adjusting where you are on the camera. And she's going to talk about the thirds and sitting up a little higher or being a little higher, and how that changes people's focus on you, and how it puts you in the spotlight a little more. Just little things. So be ready to take a few notes. Notice in the chat that there's a checklist that's available. Folks, I am not saying you need to run out and fill out every single thing and get all the things. Don't kill yourself doing that. But what you can do will make it more professional for the event.
First and foremost, we're going to go through a lot of tips. And actually, Ray is I tell you, I call him the Steven Spielberg of our company, because we're a mom and pop company. But yet we're working right next to E and Access Hollywood on the red carpet on a regular basis. But this guy can really give tremendous transformational advice. So today we're going to go through a quick tip list, and then we're going to actually give you personal advice. So I just want you to be open and remember, everything that we do, we come from a place of kindness and love to help you be more professional. So we're not here to tear anybody down. We're not here to embarrass or make you feel less than, because we know that you all are crafts and with your expertise, and that you're professional speakers. But I also understand that a stage is completely different than being in front of a camera, delivering content, or being interviewed. It's a completely different format. So I'm going to pass it over to Ray DuGray, who's going to kindly and straightforwardly give you some wonderful advice. It's all yours, Ray.
All right. Thank you so much, Maria. And first of all, Jason, nice to meet you. We haven't chatted yet, so I feel privileged that you get to share your group with us. I feel like that's a big blessing for us. And I know it will be, if we do our job right, it will be a blessing for your group. So this is win-win-win all around. As Maria says, we're not here to hurt anybody's feelings. We're simply here to achieve the, I say it's not the impossible goal, because it's a very possible goal, but some of you believe it's impossible, and that's how to look and sound like a pro on camera. And let me add this, because this is going to sound very hypey, folks, in less than an hour. Okay. You know, a lot of times when I have that conversation with people, they go, "Wow, that doesn't sound very believable. It sounds a little hypey." And I toned it down in the beginning. I was saying, yeah, we'll help you look your best. We'll help you improve on camera. But from doing these media makeovers, what we have found is actually some of you transform from complete novice amateur to looking like a pro on camera. I'm not saying all of you are going to have that experience today, but I'm saying that's our goal. And you know what? If we can't do it in an hour, could we do it in a week? I don't know. I think we can. So the limitations that we have from the tips that you're going to learn today will probably be things like technology. Maybe you'd have to go out and get a better camera, or maybe you have to get a different microphone, or maybe you have to work on your backdrop. Some of those things we can't do real time in front of each other, but the things that we can do real time, we are going to do real time. We're going to actually watch the transformation. What I like to do is I like to ask people to take a screenshot at the beginning and then a screenshot at the end, because you will often see a distinct difference. And I'll tell you what, if we did this in a 2-part session where I gave you the tips and you showed up next time, oh, that's where the transformation occurs. Because if we give it some time, let's say a week, some of you go out and buy the right cameras, you buy the mic, or you get the microphones, you go buy a nice professional backdrop, you change your wardrobe, and you show up differently. Okay, so that's nice when we have the time, but our goal is in a very short period of time, less than an hour, we're going to have you looking your best in the time frame that we can work with, and ideally looking like a pro. And I know the business that Jason is in. I know that Jason wants all of you to show up your best. I think we're on the same page there, right, Jason?
Absolutely. And it's all about, doing the best we can with what we have to work with, but positioning ourselves as the experts and the presenters comes with that responsibility to show up the best that we can. And I'll tell you, I'll be transparent. I already made some adjustments and have a couple more to make just from my short time with Maria. So you guys will come away with a lot of great things today.
What I want to do is, first of all, I want to ask you, and this is kind of like this is a no-brainer. How do you want to look on camera in front of your target audience? Just think about that for a moment. How do you want to look like? Because I will tell you what, we're in a Zoom era right now. It doesn't matter which platform you're using. There's a massive Zoom movement going on because of the situation that's happening. And there are professionals and amateurs going to virtual events. They're going on camera. And some of you have done that for the first time in your lives. And for some of you, it's terrifying. For others, not so much. Fear is a big factor when going on camera. Going on camera is a lot different than speaking. Now, some of you can do both, but some of you excel at stage speaking and clam right up when you go on camera. And I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm saying this is just the reality of it. We've interviewed some of the biggest speaking celebrities in the world. And when we put them on camera, they become like a different person. They just become all weird and funky, and because camera dynamics are different than stage dynamics. Camera dynamics are also different than coffee shop dynamics. You sitting across the table from your family or friends, it's different when a stranger is asking you a bunch of questions and putting a camera on you. Things happen to you. So we're going to address this fear thing right off the bat. One of the things, probably the best piece of advice that I can give you right now to move forward, not only for the upcoming event, but for every event that you will do from now on. The best advice that I can give you right now is practice, 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 and continue to practice no matter how good or bad you are. And I say that, I'm speaking specifically to some people who have huge egos and say, I don't need to practice. I've been doing this for X number of years. I don't need any more media training. The reality is I don't care who you are and how good you are, there's always room for improvement, even if it's subtle improvement. Now, if you haven't done a lot of on camera, and this is kind of like your first entry into it, I'm telling you, there is an opportunity for massive transformation for you. And people often ask, well, if I show up as a pro and I do media interviews, whether I get interviewed on podcasts or I start my own podcast, my webcast, livecast, or Anycast, are there benefits in it? I don't know. I'll ask you, do you want to make more money in your business? Do you want to get more speaking gigs? Do you want to partner with some of the biggest book publishers to get your book promoted? These are all things that can happen through media. And it happens at different levels. So I often tell people, first of all, I'll ask you, do you think it's important to connect with top influencers in your industry? Of course, right? You would like to have like a very close relationship with those people because those people can catapult you. So even being a speaker on a platform like Jason's automatically now positions you to go to a higher level. But I'm going to give you a little secret here, and I don't know if it is a secret, you may know it, but I'm going to suggest this. If you master media, if you master on-camera presence, if you focus on how to look and sound like a pro on camera, I'm going to tell you what that does. It allows you the opportunity to connect with influencers. And I'm going to show you exactly your options. There's usually two options to connect with top level influencers. One is you pay them. You all know, right? If you have really deep pockets, you could go and pay them to be a guest on your show or to support your charity or to do product placement of some sort, something, you just pay them. They will gladly take your money. The other option, and this is probably the one I'm going to suggest you go with. You interview them or be interviewed by them. All right? Because the moment you have an opportunity to interview someone or be interviewed by them, you create a relationship. And that start of that relationship could end up being the big deal. It could be you getting the speaking gig. You know, just by creating an environment where you can be on someone's platform like Jason's, do you know, we call that the media launching pad. Once you have one under your belt, you can get two. The moment you have one recorded experience with a credible organization, you can get a second and a third, and we call that stacking. By you stacking, you create a positioning phenomenon, and that is you're positioning yourself as a credible expert, which then leads to more influencers wanting to interview you on the podcasts, and so on and so forth. And you continue to stack until such time as you start to get some name recognition. And then guess what happens? What I said earlier, you make more money, you get more speaking gigs, you get the deals, you get the JV partnerships. This could all happen by learning to look and sound like a pro on camera. We have a fast track program that we offer our clients, but we're going to give you the ultra fast track in order for you to show up for Jason in the best way possible. Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to a tip sheet. And again, you can get access to that. Maria is going to follow up with you. Make sure all of you have access to that tip sheet. It's a checklist because I'm going to tell you, if you just use that check sheet after this and go practice doing interviews, it's going to be a very short period of time where you're going to look like a star. Not only looking like a star, sounding like a star, acting like a star, you are going to be good at doing interviews as a guest or as a host. Follow the check sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rapid fire through some of those tips. I'm going to cherry pick some of the tips from the checklist so that I can give some visual improvement right in front of your eyes so that everybody can see it. So it's not just, well, man, that guy's full of hot air. He's like doing a lot of talking here, but like, show me something and I'll show you something. Okay, so are you ready, folks? Give me a wave. Give me a wave if you are ready to make some transformation. All right, good. Let's go through the B.L.A.S.T acronym, B-L-A-S-T. And again, there's a lot of tips in this, so we're only going to cover a few and it's going to be lightning fast. Okay, B. B stands for B, like B-E, B. And it refers to a number of things. First off, Be yourself. Be yourself in an interview. I can't stress this enough. The only time that I would suggest that you be somebody else is maybe if you're an actor playing a role, or if your brand that you want to put out is of the nature that you need to be that character. But I'm going to tell you, that's a skill in itself, being somebody else. What most audiences resonate with is authenticity. If you could just be yourself on camera, and I'm going to call this coffee shop talk. And I'll tell you why specifically I call it coffee shop talk. Because when you're in a coffee shop hanging out with your friends, or even if it's a stranger, you have a certain natural ability of communicating. It's a heart level communication. It's not a head level communication. For those that are not comfortable being on camera, you often immediately go into head level communication. You're in your head. You've heard that before. When you're in your head, you're thinking about yourself. That's what's happening. When you're in your head, you're often thinking about, how do I look? How do I sound? Am I resonating with the audience? I'm going to tell you, when you be yourself, when you're authentic, you're hardly ever thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the person across from you, if it's in a coffee shop. But the other advantage of a coffee shop is a coffee shop often has noise in the background. Now, if you can imagine what you would speak like if there was a bit of noise in the background and you have to raise your voice a little bit, you have to speak a little louder and a little more animated. That is the way you speak on camera. And because I'll tell you what happens if you speak the way you normally would speak to a family member in a relaxed state. You're going to sound very humdrum. You're going to be dry. It's going to be boring. So the camera actually sucks energy from you. So what we're going to do is we're going to amp up your energy a little bit. So a couple of things I'd like you to do. We're going to practice being ourselves for a moment. And again, I want you to think about Jason's audience. What do they want from you? Not what are you going to get from them. Don't even think what you're getting from Jason. Think of, how do you serve Jason? What is it that you could show up with that he would be so amazed? I'm going to tell you, show up with your true self, for starters. Why? Because that's going to eliminate a lot of fears and nerves right off the bat. If you want to get rid of the nerves, focus on the other party and stop thinking about yourself, because you're not all that you think you are. I'm just kidding. You're all awesome. I always shock people when I say that, but I'm joking. But it's true, is our egos often get in the way of us showing up our best. So here's what I want to do. We're going to practice a couple things. I first of all want to bring everybody's energy level up. Prior to an interview, before the camera starts rolling, before the guest, during that time when the guest is about to announce you to come on and the camera's about to come on, I want you to take a couple of deep breaths. First of all, sit up straight and just take a big breath right now. Through your nose and out through your mouth. Do it again. Through your nose, out through your mouth. Now I want you to do something else. I want you to take your hands, rub your hands together really quickly. Okay, now I want you to stand up, unless you're all wired up. Stand up carefully. And you can step to the side if you wish. And I want you to pump your calves. Pump your calves up. What you're doing is you're pumping blood throughout your body, not to the point that you're winded, but just to get the blood flowing. Okay, give your body a little bit of a shake out. Show up back into the camera as yourself. I don't know who you were at first, but I want you to now just be yourself. So let's see. Stephanie, go ahead and unmute yourself. Stephanie.
Hi.
I just want to do coffee shop talk with you. Stephanie, tell me about your topic. What are you speaking on?
I'm talking about your real self-worth. And Right. I just saw Maria's reaction. And it's about really, it's connecting the audience with what's really driving them. Because once we have the awareness, we can make different decisions of how we want to move forward in our lives.
Very nice. Folks, let me get some feedback. You can come on camera if you want, or if you want to do it in chat. Did Stephanie look relaxed and authentic? Put yes in the chat if you felt like that was herself. That was an appropriate response. Okay, good. So Stephanie, you're getting some positive feedback. And you're ultimately going to be the judge, Stephanie. How did you feel about it? Because other people can say, well, that was my impression. You felt like you were yourself, but how did you feel? And be honest, if you felt a little bit nervous, that's okay. Perfectly normal to be nervous, folks. We all have nervousness at different levels, but Stephanie, how did you feel?
It felt good. I was a little nervous, but being put on the spot was fine. Actually, I would rather go first than have time to think about it.
Cool. Very good. That's a profound statement, folks. Anytime you have an opportunity to dive right in, we work with clients that just cannot push the record button in the beginning to go live on Facebook. They just cannot do it. And I say, it's just a button, just push it and start talking. But if they think about it, and the more they think about it, the more they talk themselves out of it, until to the point we almost have to grab their hand and like push the button for them. But my point is don't be afraid of going on camera, even if you suck, even if you think you're just the worst. Because remember what I said earlier, practice, 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 practice. You will become a star if you just do it. You will get better. Give yourself permission to be not the best guest in the world. So far, I'm seeing nobody sucks. I can tell visually, I can tell by your facial expressions, nobody's going to suck. You're all going to be really great. That's wonderful. Let's talk a little bit more about B, and then we'll move on to some more tips. So you want to be yourself. I already said be authentic. You also, here's another one. Be present. Stop thinking about all the other things that are going on when the guest is asking you questions and you're thinking about, again, oh, geez, what question's coming up? Or you're in the middle of answering a question and you're thinking about something else. You focus specifically on the guest or the host and talk to them as if you were in a coffee shop. Again, in a coffee shop, you often gesture, you're excited, you're telling stories, right? So you don't have to think about, oh, gee, what gesture should I use? Should I have my hands like this, or should I have them, on the desk? Or you don't think about that. That's head thinking. So when you take a communication course, you learn about all these different gesturing techniques. But the reality is, when you be yourself, you don't think about all that stuff. You're just natural. So again, when you're going into the event and you all go on camera and you start talking, you're just talking to a friend, even if you've never met that friend before. Okay, so be present. The way to be present is very simple. Again, focus on something other than yourself, and you will be present. Focus on the needs. If you're talking to Jason, focus on Jason. If you're speaking to Jason's audience, think about Jason's audience. And if it's one person as an avatar, that's okay. Focus on one friendly person and have the conversation with them. That'll help eliminate a lot of the nerves and make you look more natural. And again, make you look more authentic, make you look more confident. That's key. You got to look confident. People are not going to buy your stuff if you're just like, if you look terrified, they think, oh, they must be hiding something. Okay, so another thing about B is believe in yourself. You can do this. You can do this. And again, if you think, of course I could do it, I've been doing it for years, of course, that's okay. But I'm going to say, well, take it to another level then, because you're not afraid enough. If you're saying, I could do this, it's a piece of cake, it just means you need to take it to another level. You need to push yourself to a height, because you need to be a little nervous. Because as long as you're a little bit nervous and you're striving for something bigger, then your confidence will allow you, means you're growing. So don't ever not stop growing. All right. Okay. So Again, let's practice this. Everybody just try to be yourself. Focus on the message. Focus on me right now. Focus on the needs of Jason right now. What's the best way that you can show up? Okay, the next is L. L is how to look like a pro on camera. And there's a bunch of stuff here that we can do visually. And we will, I'll just take you through some stuff right now. First of all, let's everybody sit up straight, sit up fully straight. Take your bottom away from the back of your seat. You should not be resting against the back of the seat. So there's your first tip. Don't rest against the back of the seat, because that makes you, again, that makes you look slumpy, frumpy. It lowers your energy level. So sitting up nice and straight, not too straight so you look crazy stiff, just straight. Now I want you to lean about 5 to 15 degrees forward into your camera. I'll tell you why. When you're sitting across from somebody in a coffee shop and you're just passionate about something, you are leaning in. Like you are telling your story and you're leaning in. So by leaning in slightly, the guest, the host, the audience will resonate with you because it looks like you are interested in them. All right, so is everybody leaning in a little bit? Okay, next, we're gonna position our camera at eye level or slightly about eye level. Many of you, I'm not seeing major problems here, but if you go out and watch even some of the biggest gurus on the planet going on Zoom right now, hey, folks, even the top level late night talk show hosts look terrible on camera. They didn't have their producers there coaching them. Those Zoom shows were brutal. It's painful for someone like me that's in the business to watch that because I want to coach them so badly. But one of the things that you could do is stop looking down into your computer. And I'm going to give you some incentives why that is so such a no-no. Number one, it makes you look older. It makes you look heavier. Okay, I know some of you you just did the inverse of that, right? Older, what's opposite? Younger. Oh, would I like to look younger? Would I like to look thinner? Take your camera, position it at eye level or slightly above so that it removes the shadows under your eyes and under your chin. It will make you look younger. It also puts your camera in the line of sight because we want to be looking into our camera so that we connect with our audience. Now, this is a bit of a challenge, especially for me right now, because I'm wanting to see all of you and your reactions. So I'm actually looking down at my screen, but I have my camera positioned that I only have to look slightly up if I'm on a direct eye contact connection. So right now I have a direct eye contact connection with you. I'm sitting up straight, I'm leaning forward, I'm gesturing to a certain degree to show that I'm excited and passionate about the subject. But I'm also going to occasionally glance down at my screen because I want to maintain contact with your face. I want to see what's going on. So this is a bit of an art. You'll often hear when you take these courses to look directly into the camera, and some people that do it look into the camera the entire time. And I'm going to tell you, if you're up close and you're looking into the camera the entire time, especially if you're not blinking, that's going to look real creepy. Hey, Jason, see? It looks creepy. So we don't do that when we speak to people naturally. What we actually do is we dart our eyes off to the side for a moment. We connect with eye contact, we look off to the side, we connect back. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. When you're wanting to see the images on your screen, then look into your camera and look down. Look into your camera and look down. When your eyes are moving on camera, it's a noticeable difference. So if you look off to the side or look down, everybody's going to see that you're not looking at me anymore. There's a big noticeable difference. The way to minimize that is to use a wide angle camera like I'm using and bring yourself further back. So I could now get away with looking at the screen and not looking directly into my camera, and you're still going to feel like I have pretty good eye contact with you. Like I'm doing that right now. I'm looking at my screen. I'm not looking into the camera. Now I'm looking into the camera. you're not going to see a huge difference. But when I'm up close, you will see definitely, watch this. I'm looking into the camera, watch, I'm looking down at the screen now. You're going to see a disconnect. When I'm looking down at the screen and I'm talking to you, you're not going to have the same level of connection that when I'm looking directly into the camera. Okay, so that's a huge one, folks. That's a huge tip right there. That is a major improvement. If you watch Zoom videos from now on, you're going to see a lot of people making that mistake. Okay, who wants to hear the next biggest violation? That next biggest violation on camera right now on virtual events? Okay, I'll give it to you since you want to know. All right, here it is. It's called the rule of thirds in media. Everybody that's in media knows about this. It is the golden rule. I want you to imagine that your screen is divided into a grid with two vertical lines and two horizontal lines. I want you to imagine that your frame that you're looking at, your frame, is looking like tic-tac-toe. It's looking like Hollywood Squares. It's looking like the Brady Bunch. It's got these different quadrants. Well, the one that we're going to deal with here is called the upper third line. That's the horizontal line that runs at the upper third of your screen, right there. I want you now to adjust your seat or adjust your camera so that your eyes are at the upper third line, your eyes. And this doesn't matter whether you're close up to your screen, whether you're far away. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a field doing a wide shot of you. Put your eyes at the upper third mark. Now, this may require you tilting your camera down or up or raising your seat. Oh, going back to the whole camera thing, the height of the camera, people will often say, well, but my laptop, or my camera is on my laptop and my laptop is way down there. Well, hello, you don't need to be a physics genius to know that you could take some books and build your laptop up. Just boost it up.
Carla just did that, by the way, and Carla works in TV, or has worked in TV production. So I just saw her grab a book and elevated her computer. So good job, Carla.
Yes, and that's exactly what I want you to do, folks, is feel free to do the work as we're going along, teaching the tips. Feel free to do the work. Adjust your cameras, bring your eyes up. And now I'm going to tell you what so many people do, and this is the big violation. They violate the rule of thirds, and they position themselves in the middle. Okay, I just want you to notice how weird that looks. So I'm talking to you right now, my head's right in the middle of the screen. You could practically get away with any other spot and have it okay, but in the middle of the screen makes you look just funky, goofy, right? So go ahead and try that and just position yourself in the middle and see. So Stephanie, I see you're in the middle right now. You want to adjust so your eyes are up higher. Brenda, go ahead and elevate yourself up higher if you can tilt your camera. Let's see. Kim's good. Is it Anika? Is that the way to pronounce your name? Anika? Anika's
Annika.
Oh, Annika? Okay. You're looking great. Curtis, good. D, you can come up a little bit higher. Okay, looking good, looking good, looking good. Okay.
Are you saying the camera could be higher or?
No, we're talking about where your eyes are located on the screen. As long as your eyes are at the upper third. And oh, by the way, the graphics that you see at the bottom, those are called lower third graphics. Can anyone guess why they're called lower third graphics? They're in the lower third. They're on the lower third line. So there's the upper third line, the lower third line. If you just do this alone for all your future virtual events, you are, I swear, you are in the top 10% of the people in the world going online. You're looking better than 90% of the people out there that are doing it incorrectly, because they're violating the lower third line and they're violating where their camera is positioned. So they're looking down. Okay, folks, you liking this so far? Okay, good. Let's keep on. So we already showed you how to lose weight rapid, fast, and to lose years. You're looking younger just by that adjustment alone. Okay, we talked about looking directly into the camera, not at the screen, but we're glancing back and forth. We're toggling our eyes back and forth. We don't want to lose eye contact with our audience. If you notice, if you ever have an opportunity, whatever platform you're using, if you ever have an opportunity to put a lower third graphic in place, like I have here, I'm not going to get into that because it's a little bit techno geeky stuff. But if you ever have an opportunity to put a lower third graphic on a virtual event, do it. Immediately sets you apart from everybody else, and you look like a pro. As soon as you start having some custom lower third graphics in place. So there's another tip. Okay, let's talk about backdrops. This is another massive violation. We do not want to see people cooking dinner in your kitchen behind you. We don't want to see pets running by. There's all kinds of distractions behind you that could potentially take the message away from you. So there's a couple of things that we suggest. One is staging your background. That's one. And two is using a backdrop. You'll notice that I'm using a backdrop. Okay, I'm using a specific solid backdrop. What that does is it takes away any other distractions behind me, and I could use this backdrop for a lot of purposes. Like if I wanted to do product displays, I could actually position myself off to the side during my presentation and use all this, what's called white space, all this background space to demo products. Or I could put a logo here in post-production. Following the recording, I could actually put a graphic here. Some platforms will allow you to put the graphic right there. It's called an over-the-shoulder graphic. Put the logo or the graphic right here while you're doing your presentation. So that's why I like solid backdrops. Again, a backdrop, just because it's a backdrop, doesn't mean it's not going to be distracting. If you get a backdrop that has all kinds of funky pictures and text, and it could still be distracting. So you want a non-distracting backdrop. But here's the other option. Oh, and by the way, you can get those on Amazon real easy. They're really inexpensive. You just purchase the color that you want. Again, keep in mind which clothing you want to wear. You got to consider contrasting, whether you're the appropriate use of colors. But I'm going to tell you what you can't go wrong with. You can't go wrong with solid white backdrops. And you can't go wrong with solid black backdrops. Why? Because thanks to Apple has programmed us to have white backgrounds for all of their product demos and training for years. We've used white backgrounds. So that's a safe one. It's also great for putting graphics in the background. But black is also safe because we've been programmed for years watching documentary films. Talking head videos with black backgrounds lit appropriately are very effective. Don't wear a black suit when you have a black backdrop, because guess what's going to happen? Floating head. You're going to be a floating head. You're going to disappear. So again, keep in mind what colors you're wearing for clothing and contrast that appropriately with your backdrop. So let's take a look at some backdrops. First of all, let's look at Maria's. Maria's staging her background. She's not using a backdrop. So notice what she's done. She's got a microphone in the back. She's got some certificates on the wall. She has a cocktail table, and it has one of those bifold, kind of like a Oriental design room divider. Okay, knowing that she's in the media business, would you say that's all appropriate to her brand? Okay, give me a wave if you think that's all appropriate for Maria's brand. So here's what I want you to think about. I want you to consider your brand. I want you to consider your brand when choosing your backdrop. If you have a cluttered background, I need you to work on getting rid of the cluttered. If you have a bunch of stuff in your background that doesn't support your brand or your message or your topic even, get rid of it, clean it up.
So we have some specific questions regarding the background, and I'm just
Sure.
going to throw them at you right now.
Yep.
So somebody asked regarding, where was it? Stephanie. So
Yes.
using your presentation as your background because Zoom gives you the option. This goes along with digital as well, digital backgrounds.
Yes.
Yes or no. And then does your background need to be one color? We're fans of solid colors, but I'll let you explain that. And is it okay to have books in the background? Dee was saying. So if you want to address those, go for it.
Specifically. Okay, let's talk about books in the background for starters. D, if the books are not legible, I would say you can get away with it. If it's visually acceptable, I say you get away with it. But often people will put a stack of books in the background and you can actually read the titles on the books. That's distracting. If anything is in the background, if there's any kind of print in the background and it's legible and it's not related to your brand or your topic, I would say remove it. But if you're talking about just a bookshelf that's adding some kind of visual background, I don't see a major problem. I see room for improvement. I would suggest something else, but I wouldn't say it's a big violation. I think it's okay. Digital backdrops. I would stay away from digital backdrops because they immediately make you look unprofessional. Because they just haven't mastered the technology yet. Unless you're lit properly and you know how to light a green screen, people that even use green screens can really mess it up because you often have these weird funky things happening. If you move, you'll see your background kind of showing up on the camera, and I don't want to be able to tell that you actually have a digital backdrop. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you like the idea of a digital look, go to Amazon and look at the backdrops that are available. They have beautiful designs where you can just buy a backdrop with a stand, put it behind you, and you don't have that issue. You don't ever have the issue of, geez, I didn't light this properly. You'll have a beautiful backdrop. We have tons of clients that look like superstars simply because they went out and bought a low-cost backdrop that suits their brand. Now, some of the things that you can do very inexpensively, I'm going to use Kim as an example. Kim has a solid backdrop and she's using a graphic behind her. The graphic is brand relevant, absolutely without question. So what I would probably do is I would just position it differently. I'm not there with you, Kim, so I can't really tell exactly where to position it, but I'd probably position it off to the side a little bit where I can still focus on you, or I can focus on your face and not see some stuff kind of behind you. I'd have a graphic like off away from me so that it's over here. All right. Brenda, what I would do with yours, you don't ever want to look like you're in your home. So one of the things
unless you are a home expert of some kind.
Of course. Thanks, Maria. Yes, unless it's appropriate to your brand. But what I would do is just find a solid wall even, or either stage your background, find a solid wall that you can shoot up against. Because I know people who just have their artwork. They have artwork on the wall and they just shoot up against that. A nice picture or something. But the safest bet is you get yourself a purchased backdrop that's suitable to your brand and use that. Curtis, I would work on your backdrop. You've got one thing. Here's a big one, folks. I'm glad I see it. Backlight. If you have a window in the background, please cover it up. Close the blinds, cover it up. Any kind of light behind you is going to create a backlighting issue, and you're seeing it with Curtis. It sucks the color from his face because it washes it out. It'll darken this area because the camera can't adjust to the light. So he's probably making an adjustment. That's great. We do it on the fly. Turn your lights off. Where should the light be? A light should be on your face. If you don't have a light on your face, go get a lamp right now, any kind of lamp. If you can't do it now, do it another time, but go ahead and get a lamp and just shine it on your face. Your light should be coming from the front, not from the back. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're continuing. I'm already seeing an improvements, folks, and I think you are too. Yeah, looking good.
Look at Curtis. Yeah.
Looking good. Oh, clothing. Here's a simple one. People often ask us, what should I wear? Well, it depends. Okay, people hate that answer. It depends. Give me something specific. So here's something specific. Try to avoid distracting patterns. Avoid stripes, checkers, and polka dots. All right, got that? Avoid stripes, checkers, and polka dots. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It's just, that's a general rule because they tend to be distracting patterns. Things like herringbone patterns are extremely distracting to cameras. It actually creates a vibration on the camera. It used to be, we were told to avoid reds and whites on camera. That's not so much the case as much anymore because of our HD cameras. That was more of an old school thing, but it's still a good way. It's still something that you need to be cautious about because white could create hot spots. Hot spots is where you get that big bright glow on your clothing because you're wearing white. The light's reflecting off it. It's distracting. Red could just create a shimmer. It could create if it's too much red. Here's what I say about red. Maria, I've heard her coach people on this all the time. If you have a red blouse, put on a darker jacket over top. Watch this. I'm going to show you a creative use of red. Look what happens when I remove the red. I have a solid color, and by the way, solid colors are great, especially blues. Solid colors are safe. Blues, light blues, dark blues, but solid colors are a great choice. But look, I practically disappear because I don't have enough contrast between my clothing and the backdrop. So watch this. First of all, I want you to just notice, where does the attention go when I'm speaking? Just notice where the attention goes. Now watch this. Okay, look. Okay, look at the splash of color. So I added contrast, but I don't have so much red that it's just overwhelming amounts of red. See the difference? Okay, little splash of red, but notice how the attention goes here. Like, it's so much easier to keep someone's attention on your face if you have some kind of a scarf or color. This could be a necklace, not a distracting necklace. Choose your jewelry carefully. Jewelry can be distracting. Appropriate jewelry. Again, remember, it depends. But here's the thing. If you're a chef, wear your chef uniform. If you're a firefighter captain, wear your firefighter uniform. Dress appropriate to your brand.
I know, ladies, if you're wearing jewelry, please be mindful of the microphone. Rattling bracelets, earrings, very distracting. Ray always says it's easy to edit video. It's very difficult to edit audio. And that's where if people can't hear you, they're going to be distracted. If you do wear any sort of patterns in your shirt, again, throw on a dark blazer or something that would represent it. But overall, stay away from that.
If you have a brand showing up, people will often wear a hat or they'll have a logo on the clothing. I would say avoid a brand representation unless it's your own brand.
Or they're paying you. So if Nike is paying you, by all means, wear Nike.
Because what's going to happen is if you ever get any kind of traction on that video, you're going to get a cease and desist letter. Okay, you don't want to do that. So the safest thing is just avoid any kind of brand recognition unless, including mugs. You know, some people will just have a mug and it'll have a logo on it and they'll take a sip and that gets captured on the video. So just avoid it. Hence a white mug with nothing on it, right? Anything
I'll use
that's
Starbucks.
going to enter, yeah, Starbucks probably not going to pay you if you use it. Probably not. Okay. So you get the picture, folks. Okay, another big one, which I am really challenged with, and anybody who wears glasses knows this, eyeglass glare can be very distracting. So there's a couple things that you can do. You can get anti-glare glasses. They don't help 100%, but they help. But they're not a solution. What you can do, because these are anti-glare glasses, but what you can do, and these are just reading glasses, but I need to read when I'm doing the presentation. So I don't need it day to day. I don't need these day to day, but when I'm on camera, I need them to be able to see the screen. Okay, so what do? Watch this. Okay, if I adjust my head, you're now going to see some screen. If I increase my lighting from the front, you're going to get some really, really bad lighting issues, some very distracting stuff going on. So let me show you what you can do. Tilt your glasses down. That's one of the things. So I've just eliminated. So I know where I'm looking. Put your head where you're going to be looking most of the time. That's at the camera. And then tilt your glasses to remove the glare. It's not going to be 100% because if I look up, look, you're going to see it. But I'm not looking up all that much. I'm going to be looking into the screen. So another thing that you could do is instead of having one light on you, shining on your face, and by the way, ring lights, fluorescent ring lights, for those of you who want, we'll get into tech stuff, but fluorescent ring lights work really well. But here's another thing that you can do. One of the things you can do is you can take two fluorescent lights or LED lights, and shine them at 45 degrees to your face. Position them on each side, of course, out of the screen. You're not going to put them right here, but you put them out of the screen, shining onto your face, and that will often, it'll light your face up really nicely, but it'll also remove the eyeglass glare.
One question that we need to address, because I just want to make sure Stephanie gets answered. To be clear, Stephanie, I think you're asking to have your presentation as your backdrop, so meaning that you're going to be speaking over top of your slides. Is that what? You could go ahead and unmute yourself to clarify the question for Ray.
Yeah, so Zoom gives you the ability to use your PowerPoint presentation as your background on the camera. And so then you're just you're in a different position on the screen, but then you've also got a digital background.
Correct. Okay, so the answer to that is, do you want the attention on the presentation or on you? So that's because now what you're doing is you're splitting someone's attention. Is it necessary for them to see your face? If it's not, and it's only necessary for them to see the presentation, then just let them see the presentation. But if it's necessary for them to see your face because you're having if I'm having a heart-to-heart conversation with someone, I'm not doing that on a presentation slide, right? But obviously, if I'm teaching something, I could very well be the little tiny person in the corner with the attention focused on the bullet points on the slide. So it all depends on what you want the audience to focus on how you would go ahead approaching that. Some people, depending again which application, some do split screen, where you have your presentation here and your face is right here. Otherwise, you got a kind of a pick and pick, where you're a tiny little person over here in the corner or sometimes up top, and your presentation occupies the majority of the screen. Did that answer your question, Stephanie?
It does, thank you, and I'll need to ponder that.
Okay. Let's move on to now how to, let's see, we did the B, the look. The A is act. How to act like a pro, how to act your best. Now, this has a lot to do with body language, movement, eye contact, which we talked about a little bit, gesturing, which I already mentioned. But there are some certain things that you could do for your involving your behavior that's going to make you look and show up more like a pro. So let's cover them. Here's one that I'm constantly working on, and I haven't mastered it yet, I admit it, is that you need to smile appropriately. Like, I just don't smile enough, and probably because I'm just too like super passionate about what I'm talking about, and I'm thinking so much, but really, I'm having fun even though I don't look like I'm having fun. So, but you notice the moment, look, I'll just show you right now, the thing that I don't practice enough, you'll see the improvement. Watch this. So now I'm talking to you and I'm putting a smile on my face. And I know all of you will agree that it's more well received. When I have a smile on my face and I'm communicating to you, I have more fun and you, I think, receive the message better. So go ahead, all of you practice right now. Just put a smile on your face. Now, please remember I said appropriately. If somebody's telling you about a relative that's just passed away, you're not obviously going to have a big grin on your face because you're going to just look like a crazy person. Okay. So, but for the most part, if you're speaking or you're listening, smile, nod your head. Again, these are natural gestures. Let's go back to coffee shop talk. Folks, when you're having a connected conversation with somebody in a coffee shop, are you thinking about your behavior? Are you thinking about how you act? Are you thinking about when should I nod my head? How should I gesture? Where should my hands be? How should I be sitting? And the answer, of course, is no. The reason is because that's all natural. So if you go back to what we started with, be yourself. Do you know that if you be yourself, if you just get into that connected state of being yourself, being present, being confident, believing in yourself, be prepared. Preparation is half the battle. Preparation of knowing your stuff is going to remove a lot of fear. But now look what just this ability to be yourself will take care of so much when it comes to behavior. Your body language will be natural, your movement will be natural, your eye contact will be natural, your gesturing will be natural. Just a quick reminder, because some of you, this might be a little bit, some of it's new, but again, quick reminder, just take a mental note of right now is where's your bottom? Is your bottom at the back of your seat or is it away from the back of your seat? And how are you sitting? Upright, and are you leaning 5 to 15 degrees forward? Okay, so let's make sure we're practicing this. So we're sitting up straight, we're leaning forward about 15 degrees, we're not using our backrest on the seat. Where are we looking? We're looking into our camera. Where is our camera positioned? At eye level or slightly above. When you're standing, if you're doing a presentation on a stage or you're doing it on camera, it's okay to do a standing presentation on camera, a virtual event. You could do that. We have the technology for that. But if you do that, plant your feet. If you don't plant your feet, as you know, as speakers, if you don't plant your feet, you could end up doing this stuff. If you're doing this stuff on camera, oh, that's distracting. Jason, thank you. You just reminded me of a tip that I would not have mentioned, but I see it.
Oh, I was going to jump in.
If we have swivel chairs, lock your chair down or change it out. Don't use a swivel chair. When you are nervous, you naturally will start swiveling in your chair. It just spells to everybody that you're nervous. Well, you're doing it often because you're nervous, but it's projecting to everybody that you're nervous. You don't want to do that. Anchor your seat down. Anchor yourself when you're standing.
I actually use a backless stool. So it prevents me because it forces me to move my bum up front, and then I don't have anything. I have no support, so I'm forced to sit up, and I know that that's a challenge for a lot of people because it's uncomfortable, especially if you're giving a presentation. But it does help you from swiveling or moving inappropriately.
The other important thing with body language and how do you act and behave is do what I'm doing now. When you're presenting to Jason's audience, and I don't know what kind of tools you have built in, Jason, but it doesn't matter which platform you're using, whether you're doing a Facebook Live or you're doing a Zoom or Skype or any of the other dozens of applications, live streaming applications, whatever tools that they have, use engagement tools any chance you can get. Otherwise, you are going to literally be a talking head for sometimes an hour or sometimes a 4-hour workshop. People are going to rot. It doesn't matter how great your content is. People are just going to, they can't just stare into a screen for that long. You have to do something to get them active. So things like asking people to engage in chat, throw your questions there. What I often do is say, give me a thumbs up. You can give digital thumbs up, but I say, I want you to do something, do something. I want to say, hey, if you're liking this, give us a wave. If we have a lot of people on here, if you got like 50 or 100 people on this kind of like Brady Bunch platform, and we're in gallery view, and you're watching in gallery view, and I'm trying to get someone's attention. And let's say we had 100 people on here and I want to get D's attention. So I can't go, hey, D, can you tell me about, because people are going to be scrolling through trying to find D. So I'll say, hey, D, give me a wave like this. D, everybody look. So go ahead, do that. Everybody look for D. There she is. Toggle over to your next screen. D, okay, D, I have a question for you, D. See what I just did? Is I created engagement. You got people doing something. So think about that as part of your presentation, is get your audience engaged, get them active as participants of your event. And that could be Jason wants all his audience members to get the highest value, but all the speakers want to also provide the highest value. And one of the ways of doing that is engage his audience any way that you can. Get engagement, get them active. Okay, let's move on. That was A, how to act like a pro. And now we're going to talk about how to sound like a pro. First thing I want to mention when it comes to audio is if you don't have good audio, you blew it. I'll tell you why. You could fix bad video. You could have video crap out on you. You can have all kinds of bandwidth issues, which we've all seen it. We've all seen it with Zoom. And if you're older, you've had it with Google Hangouts, and the early adopters know that, oh my word, it's so challenging trying to have a communication online with someone without this stuff jittering. And okay, so here's what I say to that. You have to have good audio. If you do not have good audio, it's very difficult to salvage the event. Video can be covered up with B-roll, with photos, graphics, with anything. You can cover video up and still have a really great presentation if you have a good audio feed. The best way to get a good audio feed is two things. One, have the highest internet speed connection possible.
Hardwired, not Wi-Fi.
And hardwire. Go on a desktop or a laptop computer and use an Ethernet cable to hardwire your connection. You really want to have good bandwidth so that you get good audio. And if you do that, you'll have good video as well. So it's a bonus, but you really need to have good audio. Okay, the next thing that you want to have is a good quality microphone. So this is all covered in the tip sheet. We have samples, what type of microphones to use, but I'm going to tell you right now that I use a blue snowball mic. There's a lot of Yeti mics. Yetis are very popular with podcasters, but here's the thing, it's a USB mic. It's under $100. They're inexpensive, but they give you such high quality recordings. If you are using any kind of wired device, like a headset or something, first of all, make sure it's a good microphone. If you're using like a lav mic or something, make sure it's a good microphone. Make sure that you're getting good quality. Because what happens is anytime that you're using a microphone that's inexpensive, you will often get feedback issues. You've heard it before, that echoing, you're speaking and it's distracting and it's echoing through. It's the audio is feeding back from your computer into the microphone and it's destroying the quality of the recording. One of the ways of eliminating the feedback that's being created is by using earbuds or a headset. That will eliminate the feedback issue. So here's a couple tips regarding headsets or earbuds. I use a headset because it's appropriate to my business. I'm in the media business. It makes sense that I would wear a headset. It also allows me to really monitor the audio quality. Some of you may not want to look like a podcaster. You want to look like a professional executive. You don't want to wear a headset. So you can wear earbuds. But when you wear earbuds, do this one thing. this one thing will make you look so much more pro. Feed the earbuds behind you and tuck the wire behind you. You can run it through the back of your clothing even. Run it behind your head so that you may still see the earbuds in your ears, but you're not going to see the dangling wires. The dangling wires are very distracting to the audience. When you're talking and this little white cable swinging back and forth, it's really, really distracting. And if you have your microphone on, that's the microphone you're using, don't. Because anytime that microphone taps your clothing, your shirt, we're hearing that. We're hearing that tap. We're hearing the rustle. We're hearing the movement of that. All right, so the best is get yourself a good quality microphone that doesn't require earbuds because you're not getting feedback issues. That's my advice for that. Let's see. Oh, here's a big one. Turn off all notifications on your gadgets. Folks, please turn this stuff off. You don't want to be hearing all your pop-ups and alarms and notifications while you're doing a virtual presentation. And here's another thing. Go tell your family members, your neighbors, and anybody who's going to go ring doorbells or people vacuuming in the background. You just got to communicate to all of the potential distractions need to be eliminated. If you have very noisy heating and air conditioning units, I would say turn those off during your short recording. Obviously, we live in Nevada and Las Vegas. If it's 120 degrees, we're not turning our air off. You can understand why. But those devices will create background noise. Here's the good thing about it. All that background noise can be eliminated in post-production pretty easily. As long as you have a moment of silence, all those noisy air conditioning units, those background humming sounds can be eliminated in post-production very easily. Here's what can't be eliminated. That airplane flying over, that's out of your control. That stuff's going to happen. We can cut it out. We can cut out that moment. But the other things like family members yelling in the background, dogs barking, that just makes it harder and harder to remove that in post-production when often it's just a simple, gee, I wish I should have told my family about this, or put a notice on my door. Please don't ring the doorbell during I'm recording, okay? So I think you get the picture, folks. We're gonna try to eliminate any kind of noise distractions here. Does everybody have liquid beside them? Does everybody have some kind of liquid? Good, good, okay. When you're speaking, because you're going to be amped up a little bit, your nerves are going to be a little bit high, your mouth is going to dry out and you're going to start tripping on your lips. You will need, and again, I'd say have water. Coffee can amp you up. I don't know how you respond to coffee, but caffeine can amp you up and make you look nervous. I don't know, again, I don't know how you handle it, but water's safe. And you're going to have to, every once in a while, wet your lips so that you can keep communicating. Good, good. I'm going to check in with Maria. Our last thing is tech. That's the final T. And if there's any tech questions, but before we jump into tech, I just want to make sure that, are there any other questions regarding the B.L.A.S. so far? Regarding specifically your upcoming experience with Jason. Is there anything that you need to know from us regarding that experience? Regarding how to look, how to act, how to sound, and how to be yourself. Anything? We're good? So we have, I don't know, I think we put it in chat. We want to make sure that everybody gets access to the checklist because we're covering a lot of the information here. That's at VIPmediamakeover.com. Oh, there, Brenda's already got it printed up. Yeah, VIPmediamakeover.com. The link is at the top on chat, I believe. I think I put it in there.
It's there.
Definitely you want access to that. And also, when you sign up, when you register for this, join our private Facebook. Actually, Maria, put the private Facebook group link into for the VIP MediaCast group so that everybody can gain future access to us and be part of the group. We want to be your media coaches. We want to work with you. We want to be a resource for you. So Maria will set that up for you so that you can have complimentary access to us for some of the questions that you have for future events. So don't think like, oh my God, I got to get this all in. You're going to get so much from the checklist. So absolutely get your checklist, but know that this relationship doesn't have to end here. So you're going to feel like, man, there's a whole lot more. That guy knows I will get you more coaching as we go along. But for now, we're going to give you the highlights, the stuff that creates the biggest transformation. Okay. Tech stuff. Let's see. This is really key. Before you get started going on with Jason, perform a tech check, your video, audio, and your lighting 15 minutes before start time, preferably even before, but at least 15 minutes, because I'm going to tell you that Murphy's Law kicks in. Murphy targets virtual events. Purposely goes and looks for any opportunity where somebody didn't check and double check and triple check all the stuff, and they're going to look for that hole, and Murphy will find it, and you will be in the pickle that so many of us are often in. And we're going, my audio is not working, my microphone's not on, my camera won't turn on, or something of dozens of other possibilities. So I don't care whether you've done the interview or you've done the virtual event 1,000 times, do not ever miss the tech check. If you say, well, my camera always works, great, check it anyway. And this is just a check sheet of all the things that you want to check regarding video, audio, and lighting. And it's relevant to the platform that you're using. Notice, just because you're a Zoom expert doesn't make you a Facebook Live expert. All the stuff's different settings. You're going to use Skype all of a sudden and say, wait, where's that button? Where's that record button? Hey, am I recording? I don't know, am I recording? So many people do that because they can't find the button. Or they finish recording and they don't know where the button is. And you can see, this is what you see. You see people staring in, and it's awkward. So all of you who've done anything virtually can know that tech checks are so important. Here's another thing that you can do regarding tech. Restart your computer every time you go and do anything live. Just reboot your computer. Often stuff gets recorded and hung up and it uses bandwidth. So programs that are open that get hung up are sucking system resources. So just by restarting your computer, you're just rebooting everything clean. If you're not sure about what your internet connection is like, and you need to know for the purpose of using any kind of a software platform, you go to speedtest.net and you run a speed test on your computer. Again, that's just going to give you a number that you can use for the platform that you're going live with to see that you have actually enough bandwidth to pull a job off. That's speedtest.net. I already mentioned purchase the highest speed internet connection that's available. Use a hardwired Ethernet cable. The highest quality webcam. Now, if you're using the camera on your computer, that's depending on what kind of computer, it's okay, but I'm going to say spend 50 bucks and get yourself a super webcam. And it's usually like a Logitech 920 or a Logitech 930E, which is what I'm using. If you want a widescreen like this, 930E. If you want something more like Maria, she's got the 920. That's a Logitech. That's a great webcam. It's what the pros use. And it's low cost. So I'd say get yourself, just invest in it. It's going to give you better video quality. We already talked about the fluorescent lights. If you go on Amazon, Neewer is a good brand. Neewer, Neewer. It'll give you a good quality ring light. We already talked about the background, a non-distracting backdrop. You can go, again, on Amazon, search out backdrops. Look at all the pictures. There's lots. And find one that just says, hey, that's me. That's my brand. Or it's a solid color. It's just a nice solid blue color. Or it's a black. Or it's a white. Just go get that. And then you could always deck it out with props. By the way, if you just have white and you want to put some color in it, put a plant right here. Put a plant in the corner, not a big tree that's hanging in your face. I've seen that before. I tell people to put a plant in there and they got this like humongous palm tree like over top of their face like this. No, so again, appropriate strategic use of props. Your book is a nice prop that you can put. If you're an author and you want to present yourself as an expert, having your book right there is another little tip. One tip regarding recording, record all your streams, record them. And again, if you have a hardwire Ethernet cable and you have good internet, you'll get a good quality recording, and then you can repurpose that content for whatever needs, whether it's social media or what have you. And the last thing I'm going to mention regarding technology is know your platform that you're being that you're using as a host or a guest. It doesn't matter if it's Zoom that you're using. Know Zoom. Do the tutorial on it. Know where to push the buttons. Know the features. If you're doing Facebook Live, know Facebook Live. Otherwise, you're going to get caught again looking like that hunt and peck person. It's like where's that thing? And you just never want to do that. If you have something more elaborate and you're doing presentations and you really, really want to present yourself as a pro while staying totally focused on your guest or host or audience, you have an assistant that comes in back, we call it in the green room. They're in the green room. They're putting your lower thirds up. They're making sure that you have the good feed. They're making sure that if you're cutting out, they let you know that you're cutting out. All of that, those assistants can take the stress away from you about thinking about, oh, gee, am I recording right now? Or what button should I? It's easy to have an assistant with you to take care of some of that. Okay, so that's it. That's B.L.A.S.T, folks. And I'm going to take one last pass through everyone to make sure that we have what we've aimed to achieve here. So go ahead, everybody, sit up nice and straight. Put your eyes at the top, upper third of your screen. Lean forward about 15 degrees. Put a big smile on your face, right? And go ahead and gesture in a way that would be very unnatural. I caught you, I tricked you, right? Go ahead and gesture in a way that would be very unnatural. So I'm just going to continue having the conversation, and I want you to be gesturing in a way that I would say that's very, very unnatural to the nature of the conversation. Okay, so I'm like seriously distracted right now. If I had another tip for you, I'd have a real tough time getting that out because I am so distracted by the weird behavior that's going on right now.
You started it.
So the point is, remember, if you be yourself and you keep your gestures natural, you're not going to be a distraction to your audience. Something just popped up. I have to cover it because it's so important. Regarding gesturing, either keep your gestures in your frame or out of your frame. I'll tell you why. So I am in a wide screen right now, so I can actually gesture in my frame. I can have a conversation. I could do this. I could keep my hands like this when I'm talking. It's totally okay. It's natural. When I get excited, I can lean in and I can use my hands to gesture. Or I could completely have a conversation with you, still speak passionately, still use my head, still nod appropriately, but my hands are below. Either is fine, depending what kind of framing you have. If you have tighter framing, keep your gesturing, your hand gesturing below the frame. Otherwise, I'll show you what happens. As I'm speaking and I'm gesturing, notice what's happening here as I'm gesturing is you don't really get the effect of the gesturing. You're just wondering, what is that thing at the bottom of the screen that's dancing around that I can't figure out what that is, but it is so distracting. And it's because I'm gesturing, but I'm not gesturing in the frame. So simply in the frame or out of the frame. And if you are not using hand gestures because they're out of the frame, it's not that you're not gesturing, you're just gesturing below the frame. But I do encourage you, if you're speaking about something you're passionate about, amp up your coffee shop talk. Remember, it's a little bit loud. It's a little bit loud in the coffee shop. So rather than speaking, hey, Maria, rather than speaking the way I would normally speak to you if you were with me right now in the home, this is the way I'd be speaking. But I'm sure that all of you would agree that if I was speaking to you right now on camera, that this would get kind of mundane and boring pretty quickly, and you would all fall asleep on me. So because I have to visualize myself in a coffee shop, I'm going to amp it up. So when I'm speaking to you, I am connecting with you. You are receiving the information. We had a good time. We went over, but I hope you got some value out of this, and I'm going to pass it over to Maria and give you final instructions of where we go from here.
Yeah, I'll just reach out to all of you if you want specific questions about your upcoming presentation. I am happy to help you, and much love to all of you, and good luck this week. We'll see you at this week's PSA conference.
Hey, thank you so much, Jason. You rock. You got a great team. I'm sure they're all going to be superstars. Bye, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you very much.